Hello. So today we are discussing about the next questions. Uh, so before that, we completed the 16 questions. In which we learn the array and array list. Just like array has a fixed length, and when we declare a array, then we want to specify its type. So that's why it's called a strongly typed. And array list we don't specify the type. That's why it's a flexible type. We can say it's a generic type. And array list is a resizable and a variable length. The main points of both is that, and the performance of a array is much faster than the array list, because in array list we have a boxing and unboxing. Just like we told in the previous video, the boxing is a concept of we convert the reference type to a value type, not a value type to reference type, in which we use a boxing, and for a unboxing in which we convert the reference type to variable type or a value type. So next question is our SS specifier. C# has a SS specifier. Modifiers or SS specifiers are the keywords that are used to specify the accessibility or scope of a variable and functions in the C# application. So ये जो स्पेसिफायर्स होते हैं वो हमें स्कोप ऑफ वेरिएबल्स और फंक्शंस का हम जब डिफाइन करना होता है तब हम इनको यूज़ करते हैं. ठीक है, अभी कौन सी चीज़ किसको सेस कर देनी है किसको नहीं देनी है. जैसे कि हमारे पास ये होते हैं, इसमें पब्लिक होता है, प्रोटेक्टेड होता है, इंटरनल होता है, प्रोटेक्टेड होता है, प्रोटेक्टेड इंटरनल, और एक प्राइवेट होता है. इसमें जो पब्लिक होता है इज स्पेसिफाई द एक्सेस नॉट इन रिस्ट्रिक्टेड, मतलब इसका हम कहीं भी हम यूज़ कर सकते हैं. अगर हमने किसी भी वेरिएबल को पब्लिक डिक्लेयर कर दिया तो हम उसको उस सारी क्लास में, उस मेथड्स के अंदर और नेक्स्ट क्लास में भी हम उसको यूज़ कर सकते हैं व्हेन वी इनहेरिटेड इट. इन द प्रोटेक्टेड स्पेसिफाई द लिमिटेड दैट कंटेनिंग द क्लास और इन ड्राइव्ड क्लास. ये सिर्फ हम इसको सिर्फ ड्राइव्ड क्लास में ही यूज़ कर सकते हैं, और उस जिस क्लास में हम उस पर काम कर रहे हैं उसमें इंटरनल जो वो भी हमने सारा प्रोजेक्ट क्रिएट किया है उस सारे में ही हम जो भी अगर कोई चीज़ को यूज़ करना हो तब हम इंटरनल यूज़ करते हैं. प्रोटेक्टेड इंटरनल इज स्पेसिफाई द लिमिटेड टू करंटली असेंबली और द ड्राइव्ड कंटेनिंग क्लासेस. इसके साथ हमने ड्राइव्ड किया है, ठीक है, उसमें, और जो भी हमारी करंटली असेंबली है उसमें. प्राइवेट का मतलब है सिर्फ हम उसी में ही असेस कर पाएंगे जिसमें हमने वो वेरिएबल डिक्लेयर किया है. ये डिफरेंस बिटवीन प्राइवेट एंड प्रोटेक्टेड. ओनली मेंबर्स आर द सेम क्लास कैन बी असेस द functions or variables. We can only in that just like we declare a variable in our class, those we say the properties call we, and then we just use in that only. For protected, same as a private, but derived class can also access. Static modifiers on a class, which means that the class cannot be initiated and that its all members are static, and static members are one version regardless how the many instances is enclosing the type is created. इसका मतलब कि ये है जैसे कि हमने स्टैटिक क्लास डिक्लेयर कर देते हैं, ठीक है, उसमें हम उसका ऑब्जेक्ट नहीं इनिशियलाइज कर सकते, ठीक है, उसको हम डायरेक्टली उसके क्लास के नेम से ही उसको कॉल करेंगे. आगे आगे हमारा डज मल्टीपल इनहेरिटेंस सपोर्ट इन C#? नो, बट अचीव्ड बाय इंटरफेसेस. What is the keyword used for inheritance base class to subclass? The base keyword is used to access the members of the base class from within derived class. Next is interview preparation notes. difference between HTML and HTML5. HTML5 both audio and video, while none of them were part of HTML4. In 5 we have a audio and video text available, and HTML cannot allow JavaScript to run within the browser, while HTML5 provides the full support for running JavaScript. HTML work with all older browsers, while HTML5 works with few browsers. HTML5 supports new types of forms controls such as date, time, email, number, category, title, URL, search. These are the types of our input boxes, we can say. Just like we want to create a input box for email, then we just write a input, then type in, we specify the email, then it's automatically defined that is the email. Many elements have been introduced in HTML5. Some of the most important are time, audio, description, embedded, fig, shape, footer, article, canvas, navy, output section, source, track, video, ऑडियो एक्सेट्रा. ये सारे हैं जो हमारे आए हैं इसमें HTML5 में. डिस्क्रिप्शन आ गया, इसमें एम्बेडेड आ गया, फिग आ गया, फूटर आ गया. HTML uses cookies to store the data. HTML5 uses the local storage for store the data. So if we want to store in HTML5, then we use a local storage. Doc type declaration in HTML is too long. Doc type HTML public. W3C DD HTML4 doc type declaration 5 is very simple. Just like that, we initialize the doc type of that. By that we just specify that our code is for 5th version, HTML5 version. Dash for 4 version. What is CSS? CSS stands for Cascading Style Sheet. CSS describe how HTML elements are to be displayed on screen or in other media. CSS saves a lot of work. It can control the layout of multiple web pages all at once. Now next question is, what is Bootstrap? Bootstrap is most popular framework, CSS framework for responsible for design rich level of design, just like a responsive websites, just like when we want to open in mobile, then its content is not a hide or any content is not removed from that, and that is content is easily scrollable. That's why it's very helpful in Bootstrap. Bootstrap 4 is the newest version, but now is a Bootstrap 5 is the newest version. So what if Bootstrap is not there? We would be end up using more lines of code in CSS. अगर हमारे पास Bootstrap में कुछ नहीं है तो हम उसमें विद द हेल्प ऑफ CSS डाल के उसमें चेंजेस कर सकते हैं. उसकी क्लासेस को भी हम मॉडिफाई कर सकते हैं जो Bootstrap की होती है. ठीक है. सो व्हाट इज द नीड of JavaScript? JavaScript is mainly used for web-based applications and web browsers. So JavaScript, we know, everyone know that the Java is run on the web browsers. If we want to see the input outputs, then we use the console of our browsers application. Then we can say this related to our web-based applications mostly nowadays. And JavaScripts are in every field, just like machine learning and the other things also. Now next question is adding the interactive behavior of web pages. JavaScript used to interact with web pages. For example, show or hide with click button, change color by a style tag of on a mouse over. Even just like events, we have a mouse over, a mouse out, mouse in, slide carousel of images on the home page, zooming in or zooming out on the image. Game development, creating web mobile apps. That is used for also a JavaScript. Now, what is the output of this? By that, in this is just like it, that gives the output. Associative is from left to right. Explain null and undefined in JavaScript. In JavaScript, undefined is a type, whereas the null is an object. If we define anything to undefined, just like a var a is equal to undefined, then it's related to the type is just like a where we put a var there we put the undefined, and the object when we declare our object is null, then it's used for null. Just like there showing the var demo type of demo show the undefined, because we not initialize anything, so it's giving the undefined. If we just like that there we initialize we is equal to null, so we're showing the object. What is the data types of JavaScript? String, number, boolean, undefined, and null. Strings are the just like hello, the number of characters in the sequence is called a string, and this is a number, and this boolean true or false values, so just we know that, and the undefined just as the undefined value at here, we not define it, so null is represented with the null keyword. So next question is what is the bootstrap and why is for it? We also learned that bootstrap is a framework for developing the website faster and easier. It includes the HTML, CSS based design, templates, typography, forms, button, tables, navigation models, browsers, and so many things. Why we use time saving, easy to use, customization, responsive grade, open source. Because open source and it's public available, that's mean so it's free. What is DOM and what is the purpose of DOM? When a web page is loaded, the browser is created a document object model of the page. The document object model is a programming interface for the HTML and XML, extensible markup language documents. It defines the logical structure of the documents, the way of a document is accessed and manipulated. DOM can be thought of as the tree or forest. That means it shows like a tree or a forest, and in which we have a window object, document object, form object, link object, anchor object, and the form control elements. Just like a window object is always at the top of the hierarchy, just like that. And the document object, when HTML document is loaded into the window, and it's a document object. If we want to say that's our document. So form objects in which represented by forms, just like in which if we have in forms in that group a page website, then it's a form group. If there's any link, then it's a link object. There is an anchor text with the linked with the reference, then it's used for anchor objects. And form control elements, just like it's like a buttons, radio buttons, and the check boxes, etc. Types of CSS. There's the three types of CSS. One is inline CSS, internal, and the external CSS. Just like there we initialize in the tag of that, with the style keyword, color change with green of the h1 tag. So that's our inline. The next one is our internal, that's in the heading tag of our HTML. For the external, we create a separate file of that, and we link the our file of that, and just like in which it creates the geeks.css file, and the link of in that, and uses that classes he created in that, and by that he apply the CSS. And now is a difference between SAM and span and div tag. Span tag is a block level element, whereas the div tag is a block level and span is a inline element. Div tag accept the line attribute, span tag does not. Div tag line attribute just like a align center. So just like inline element, so it's cover at the inline, so that's why it's cover the horizontal full width. Div tag should be used to wrap a section of the highlighting that section. Span should be used for wrap any specific word that you want to be highlighted. Just like span background color green Anusha, and by that his highs were at there, and the span keyword and Anushka, we perform that type of CSS on that. By that print hi and Anushka. If we write at their div tag, then it's coming the next line. Explain the sum of two numbers in HTML. Because HTML we can't add, because HTML is not a programming language, it's a markup language in which he using a script tag. That's for JavaScript, in which he initialized the two variables a and b, and in taking a c variable in which the addition is working, and he write on the document. What is document? Document is our web page. If there he write the what is the output coming at here. Actually, it's HTML hypertext markup language, standard markup language for creating the web pages. HTML describes the structure of web pages. I think that's not for defining, no need of that. What is the difference between anchor and link tag? Anchor tag link the another page or contain part of the page if you its ID. It's like that. By that, as here is called a bookmark link. If you want to create a bookmarks, then we use that. And if link tag is link between the document and the external source, it's like previous, just like in which we using a theme CSS. This define the types text CSS, and what is type of is relevant to style sheet. What is jQuery and why we use the jQuery instead of JavaScript? jQuery is a JavaScript library. jQuery great simplifies the JavaScript programming. jQuery simplifies the HTML processing, element handling, animating, Ajax interactions for rapid web development. jQuery is easier to use compared to JavaScript and is other JavaScript libraries. You need to write a few lines of code with while using the jQuery in comparison with JavaScript. Just like there, he changes the color of a body and onload change color. All either creating a function. By that, in which just rewrite in a one line, in which we write a dollar sign and we select the body tag and the .css we wrote like that. JavaScript operators, arithmetic, assignment, string concatenations, and comparisons, logicals, bitwise operator. This is not operator. And arithmetic, plus minus functions is equal to plus. These all are, I think everyone know that, and I no need to define it. What is database? What is indexing? What are the types of indexing? Indexes are the special lookup tables that database searches engine can speed up data retrieval. An index helps to speed up the select queries where clauses, but slows down the data input, update, insert. SQL indexes are similar to textbook indexes in textbooks. If you need to go to a particular chapter, you can go with the indexes, the page numbers, chapter, go directly to that. The basic syntax of create index on the table name. By that, creating the index, we can easily or a faster way to access any table or any column for that. Just like we say that if we create a textbook, then we can go easily to that chapters. Types of indexing: clustering indexing and non-clustering indexing. With the cluster index, the rows are stored physically on the disk in the same order as the index. Therefore, there can be only clustered indexed. If you want to store just like we wrote the lines, then we can use cluster indexed. Create cluster index, then we write our table name, not a table name, just we write our index name, and on which table, just like we write a table name, gender in ascending order and total score in descending order. We specify that. Non-cluster index does not sort physically data index inside the tables, just like in which we sorting the data, in which we not sorting the data, in which non-cluster index or the logical order of the index does not match the physical store order of the rows on the disk. In fact, non-cluster index is stored at one place and table data is stored in the another place. This allow more than one index per table. Syntax: create non-cluster indexed, then we write a name of our non-cluster indexed and on which that's our table name. What are the types of joins? Now, what is join? Joins are used to combine the rows two or more tables. When we join the two or more tables, then we use a joins. Inner join, left join or outer join, and right join, outer join, full join, self join. In inner join, who are the matching the in both tables, that gives the result. And in the left join, with the left and the similar one are the come as the output. In the right plus the who's the same in both, that coming as the output. In full join, return all records which are left or right tables. Self join. A self join is a regular join, but the table is joined with itself. What is cross join? The cross join is used to generate a paired combination of each row of the first table with each row of the second table. First row is joined with each row. One is attached with 4, and one is attached with 5, one is attached with 6. It's like either 4, 5, and 6. That's used for cross join. What is stored procedures? Stored procedures are created to perform one or more DML operations on database. Data manipulations operations is nothing but the group of SQL statements that accept some input in the form of parameters and perform the sum task and may or may not return a value. Parameter types. In this is the default parameter for the procedure. In the always receive the values from calling program. Out is a parameter always sends the value to the calling program. In and out, this program perform both the operations, receive the value as well as the output the value. It's like create a procedure, we write the procedure name as at there we write the SQL command, then we specify the go statement with end of that, and for execute it we write a x keyword and we write the name of that. It's used for one parameter. Store procedure with one parameter is used like that. Create procedures, select all customers. At the rate is symbol for taking a variable, and that's city. Navchar and vchar is used 30 keyword, which we use for numeric and characters also. London. Multiple parameters, just like there we specify one parameter, and here we specify more than one parameters. At here we specify conditions, where city is equal to this, and post, and for checking for both for first condition and second condition also, and execute with execute keyword. What is the difference between function and store procedure? The function must return a value, but in store procedure it's optional. Function can have only input parameters for, whereas the procedures can have the input and output parameters. Functions can be called from procedures, whereas procedure cannot call from a function. procedure हम फंक्शन के अंदर कॉल नहीं कर सकते. मेनली डिफरेंस यही है, अभी हम जो फंक्शंस को कॉल, जो हम फंक्शंस में कॉल कर सकते हैं को, और प्रोसीजर्स में हम फंक्शंस को कॉल नहीं कर सकते. The among stored procedures, inline query, which is more sufficient. Stored procedure is efficient. It is easier to troubleshoot stored procedure than inline queries, as we can isolate it. What are the differences between delete and drop? Delete is the data manipulation language command. Drop is a data definition language command. Delete removes all the tuples, whereas drop removes the entire schema. Where action performed the delete can be rolled back, it's using buffer.action performed by drop. cannot be rolled back. जो हम ड्रॉप के साथ कर लेते हैं उसको हम वापस नहीं कर सकते, जो डिलीट कर सकते हैं उसे हम बफर्स की हेल्प से उसको बैक कर सकते हैं. इट डिलीट्स स्पेस ऑक्यूपाई while the by the table in the memory is not freed. That means the memory is not free, and when we delete anything, then it store the garbage value are there. If you delete all the tuples of a table using delete, drop frees the table spaces from memory. Drop is helpful for free the memory because it delete all the table structure also with the tuples. Difference between drop and truncate. Drop is used for remove the table and it's a data definition command, and whereas the truncated command is used for delete all the rows from the tables. Drop command table space is freed from memory, while the truncate command does not free the table space from memory. Drop is DDL command, whereas the truncate is also a DDL command. In the drop command, integrity constraint will be removed, while the command integrity constraint will not be removed. Drop table, truncate table, table name. What is the difference between delete and truncate? Delete command is used to delete specified row, while truncate is used for delete all rows. DML is data definition and the truncate is our data definition. Delete is for data manipulation and the truncate for data definition. There may be a where clause in delete in the order of filter records, while truncate is no need of that, so it's not at there. Delete command is slower than truncate command, while truncate command is faster than delete command. Identify the column, retain the identity after use the delete statement on table. In truncate command, identity of the column is reset to its seed value. What are subqueries and their types? Subqueries are nested queries, and the types are non-correlated subqueries, correlated subqueries, single row subqueries, multiple row subqueries. Correlated, non-correlated subqueries. In inner query can run independently of the outer subquery. Just like at there, we will select the customer, where the ID of this, and we select ID from the customer where salary is this. That is not dependent on the first on this. That's why it's non-correlated. So our in correlated is it dependent on the internal, just like at there we select employees salary, and that these columns of where salary is greater than average of that, so that command is dependent on first. Single row subquery which returns only single row, just like a minimum salary from employees. At here we select a minimum salary and where salary is matched, and he print out the, or we can say is give the output first name salary department of the minimum salary employee. Multiple row subquery returning the multiple rows output. They make use of multiple row comparison operators like in, any, or. Selects first department from employees where department ID in select from this. One condition as second condition. That's for multiple row subqueries. Difference between subquery and joins. Subqueries can be used to return either a scalar value or a row set, whereas joins are used to return rows. इसमें हम जो भी सारे की सारी रोज हैं वही रिटर्न करते हैं, इसमें कुछ सेट होता है रोज का वो रिटर्न करते हैं, या सिंगल वैल्यू हम रिटर्न करते हैं। Difference between primary key and unique. Primary key is not accept null values, whereas unique key can accept null values. A table can have only primary key, whereas there can be multiple unique key on a table. A cluster index automatically created when primary key is defined, whereas the unique key generated on the non-clustered indexed. What is SQL? SQL stands for Structured Query Language. SQL let you access and manipulate databases. DDL, DML, DCL and TCL. DDL is data definition language, DML is data manipulation, DCL is data control language, TCL is transaction control language. DDL data definition language actually consists of the SQL commands that can be used to define the database schema, in which define the database schema. Just like create, by the create we use a table, index, so function, store procedure, views, and this drop, alter, truncate, comment, rename. Comment is used for add command to the data dictionary. When we are creating a data dictionary, then we add up commands in it. By the rename command, we rename our database name or a table name or a column name with that. DML is used for manipulate the data, deals with the manipulation of present data. Insert, update and delete. When something we want to insert in our data table, then we use insert, and we want to update anything to our existing data, then we use the update command, and when we use to delete something in it, the database or a table, then we use delete command. Then DCL is data control language. In our SQL we have two things. We have a grant and revoke. It's mainly deals with the rights, permissions and the other control of database systems. Grant gives the users to access privileges to the database. Revoke, withdraw the users access privileges by the grant command. TCL, transaction control language. TCL commands deals with the transaction with the database, in which commit, rollback, save point and the set the transaction. Commit with the commit the transaction, rollback if we want to any error coming, then we roll back to the our save point. When we set a save points, set these transactions, specify characteristics for the transactions. So thank you for watching this video. So next thing we cover in our next video.